Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Max from CryptoPotato.com, and today I'm going to be talking about a new and exciting project called TriipMe. But keep in mind, before I get started, this is not financial advice. But let's get right into it. The current travel economy is highly centralized and inefficient. Online travel agencies, or OTAs, use manual processing and end up paying as much as $1,500 to approve a single new accommodation or experience listing. Travel business owners pay Google and Facebook huge sums of money to advertise on their behalf, with no guarantee that their digital ads are actually reaching the potential customers, or that the customers are even engaging with those ads. Travelers also have to go through various middlemen just to book a flight, reserve an accommodation, and hire a local tour guide. This ultimately makes their trip more expensive and less efficient. To solve these problems, TriipMiles is using blockchain technology to create an ecosystem for hotels, merchants, and local tour operators to unlock new ways to experience travel and get instantly rewarded for their contributions to local experiences. For instance, a hotel can offer TriipMiles tokens, or TIIM, to generate critical insights from guest surveys and valuable stories for digital marketing. Local businesses can offer TriipMiles as an incentive for frequent visits or as payment to work and travel backpackers. This can open up the world of work and travel, or working holidays, by creating a global currency for active travelers, and local tour guides that provide valuable labor and marketing content for small businesses and tour destinations. TriipMiles is being developed from TriipMe, a profitable startup that has raised $858,000 in seed funding and acquired a database of over 1.9 million hotels and 6,000 local guides at their disposal. TriipMe is planning to do a reverse ICO in order to launch their decentralized platform, TriipMiles. TriipMiles crowd sale is scheduled for Q3 of 2018. In this next segment, I'm going to walk you through TriipMiles' architecture and unique features. This includes a decentralized approval and arbitration system, a P2P referral protocol, and TriipMile tokens. Let's start by talking about TriipMiles' architecture. The current travel economy only has a few centralized players participating: travel business owners, OTAs, and online advertisers. The diagram represents a linear economy where value moves from the supplier to the buyer. But the system is not self-sustaining and does not create opportunities for all participants to earn and contribute value efficiently. TriipMiles is creating a decentralized marketplace where TriipMile tokens are used to incentivize all the players involved in the traveling business to participate in a self-sustaining economy. All parties, the supplier, reviewer, verifier, promoter, buyer, and arbiter, collaborate and process functions in a circular economy, and TriipMiles are rewarded as the medium of exchange under smart contracts. Local tour guides have traditionally had to go through centralized middlemen like Airbnb or TriipMiles' existing site, TriipMe. These companies would verify their qualifications and spend large amounts of money promoting them to travelers. TriipMe decentralizes the entire process, allowing tour guides to be reviewed, verified, promoted, and compensated in TriipMiles by travelers directly. On the back end, TriipMiles is building a hybrid solution that combines blockchain smart contract technology with their existing infrastructure to deliver the best performance needed. Smart contracts are primarily used to create and approve new trips, as well as book tours on TriipMe. Now, let's go through how it works for trip creators publishing new tours. TriipMiles has a handful of unique features that power its travel platform. The first is a decentralized approval and arbitration system. In this system, communities of participants like locals, reviewers, verifiers, and travelers are incentivized by TriipMile tokens to provide reviews, scores, and resolve disputes. Users' reputation score and their level of involvement in the platform determines the weight of their reviews. The second feature is TriipMiles' P2P referral protocol. TriipMiles believes positive word of mouth has the lowest cost and is the most effective way of generating brand awareness, new leads, and immediate sales. If a user refers their host or a tour guide to a guest, and that exchange leads to a booking or a tour reservation, then the user will be rewarded with TriipMiles. The third feature is the TriipMiles tokens, which allow cross-border payment to be made in a cheaper, more secure, and efficient manner. TriipMiles are ERC20 tokens used within the TriipMe ecosystem for important cases like launching a tour, booking a tour, and rewarding local guides, travelers, and accommodation owners. Now, let's get into the TriipMiles roadmap. In Q2 of this year, their team released their white paper and launched their private sale, and established global partnerships with Booking.com, Amadeus Pacific Asia Travel Association, and others. In Q3, TriipMiles is expecting to launch their public token sale. In Q4, the team is hoping to have the TriipMiles platform support payment and payout in TriipMile tokens and to launch their universal travel scoring system. Moving on to 2019, in Q2, the team is aiming to launch their decentralized approval and arbitration system as well as their referral system. Then, finally, in 2020, the team is aiming to launch Triip's tour operator and hotel management software. Now, let's get into more detail about TriipMiles crowd sale. The team is targeting a soft cap of 2,500 Ethereum tokens, which is about $1.25 million, and a hard cap of 18,750 Ethereum tokens, which is about $9.4 million. TriipMiles will be minting a total of 500 million TriipMile tokens, and 33%, or 165 million, will be available for sale. TriipMiles currently has a private sale going on in which 22% of all the tokens will be sold. Here, investors will receive a 30% bonus. The public sale will be launched sometime in Q3, and 11% of all tokens will be sold. The token distribution is as follows. 33% of tokens will be distributed for the private and public token sale. 25% will go towards community resources. 17% will go to the company's reserves. 15% will go for ecosystem advocates, and 10% will go to the team. The team has also planned out where ICO funds will be allocated from 2019 to 2023. 30.39% will go towards market research and tech development. 24.23% will go towards marketing. 21.02% will go to HR, operations, and infrastructure. 22.73% will go towards business development, and 1.63% will go towards legal efforts. Now, let's talk a little bit about the team. Hai-Ho and Halem founded TriipMe in 2014. The husband and wife duo originally started the company as a university student club where members would provide city tours to visitors for free in order to learn English. Since becoming an official business, the team expanded to incorporate experienced members in travel, tech, and most recently, the blockchain space. The team consists of 3 core members. So let's get into each of those members individually. Let's start with Hai-Ho, the founder. He has 10 years of experience building gateway, social networks, wearable hardware, community apps, and ebook applications. Prior to TriipMe, Hai founded and grew his online community from 0 to 500,000 members within 1.5 years when studying at the University of SUNY Buffalo. Next up, Halem, the co-founder and COO. Ha has over 10 years of experience in the travel and tourist industry, where she was a tour guide for international travelers visiting Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. She's also a mother of 3 who was featured on Forbes Asia 30 Under 30 list in 2016. And finally, Kent Nugent, the CTO. Kent's previous experiences include being the CTO of Silicon Straits and head engineer of Grab Vietnam. Now I'm going to touch briefly on some notable members of their advisory board. Let's start with Dr. Mario Hardy, who is the CEO of the Pacific Asia Travel Association. After that, there's Victor Chua, Forbes Asia 30 Under 30 advisor and investor who is currently managing director at Vin Capital and one of TriipMe's current investors. And finally, Kenneth Tan, advisor and investor from Gobi Partners. It's a venture capital fund that also contributed to TriipMe's $858,000 seed round. Now I'm going to talk about some pros and some cons that I feel are relevant about this project. So of course, let's start with the pros. Leveraging on an existing business. Triip Ltd is an established company operating in 228 countries with $858,000 in seed funding, 100,000 users, and $1.5 million in revenue, and a database of over 1.9 million hotels and 6,000 local guides. My next pro is they have a strong and experienced core team. The founding team brings together 60 years of total experience in both product development and travel space. And finally, my third is going to be blockchain helps TriipMe scale its business. Blockchain technology has reduced the cost of a trip approval and arbitration. TriipMiles token economy model creates an incentive for all participants to perform the activities needed to run a functional decentralized travel economy. Yet, let's touch on some cons. First is strong competition. TriipMe faces competition from large companies like Airbnb, who recently entered the travel/touring space in December of 2017. There's also another con is the unclear global crypto regulation. Government regulations around crypto is still an ongoing issue. Governments usually have a large role to play in the tourism industry of most countries, so TriipMe will have to find a way to be compliant if they ever want to expand. TriipMe seems to have already started working with governments as they are board members of PATA, and the Singapore Tourism Board currently licenses them. In all of my evaluation videos at the very end, I give individual evaluations for specific criteria for each project. So let's get right into that for TriipMe. Let's first talk about team and advisory board. The core team brings together 60 years of experience in both product development and travel space. Advisors are also experienced in travel and blockchain space. So I'm going to give them a score of 8. Next, the stage of the project. The white paper has already been released, global partnerships have been established, and TriipMe is already a profitable business. So I'm going to give them a score of 8. Up next, project potential. With the help of their decentralized P2P network, TriipMe aims to save $10 million in operating expenses for travel companies and create 3 million new jobs for locals around the world. So we're going to give them a score of 8. Next up, community and media. Their Telegram page has around 2,947 members, and they have about 5,200 Twitter followers. So we'll give that a score of 7.5. Next, token use. A tour creator will have to stake TIIM tokens in order to verify the tour. A traveler will get discounted for paying with TIIM tokens in the platform. So we're going to give them a score of 8. Next, let's talk about the ICO. The ICO's hard cap is 18,750 Ethereum tokens, which I said before is around $9,375,000. 22% of all those tokens will be sold via a private sale, 30% bonus, and it's invitation only. 11% of all tokens sold will be sold via the public sale, capped within 24 hours and fixed price. Employee tokens will be equally vested over a 12-month period from ICO launch. The CEO's tokens are equally vested over a 24-month period from ICO launch. So we're going to give that a score of 8.5. Up next is the white paper. The white paper clearly outlines Triip's value proposition, describes the architecture and the technology in a way that is easy to understand. They could have gone into more detail about Triip's consensus protocol and how nodes will validate transactions on the network, but we're still going to give them a score of 8.5. Next, backend and technology. hybrid, off-chain, and on-chain model. Blockchain is used for smart contracts between all parties involved in the travel economy. However, data is still stored on a centralized server, so they're going to receive a score of 8. Now, compiling all of these numbers together from all these different criterias, I'm going to give my final score for TriipMe. And compiling all the numbers together, my final score is 8.04 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like this video, give it a like. Or if you want to see more videos just like this, subscribe to our channel. We have new videos coming out every single week. Thanks for watching.